Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of American Lineage Podcast. Hi, my name is Wade Francois Edwards. I'm your host and also aspiring genealogist. And also, the topic that we'll be dealing with today, it's a piggyback from last week, so to speak. We talked about, the family, surnames, where it came from, how it got started. Well, this week we're going to focus on the Francois family name and the dynamics that goes with it. We're also going to focus on the 12 foundational Francois lineage and branches, how it relates to what we're doing in terms of asking everyone and seeking to find our own family lineage. And to begin with, we're going to focus on a couple of things in terms of let's define what is a lineage and also what is a branch. Now, a lineage is defined as it's the total, how can I say it, the total completion of your family dynamics in terms of your ancestors and your descendant. The family branch, that's the group from where your ancestors and your lineage come from. And the great thing about it, all that stays within the same family lineage and branch. Now, we looking at the foundation part of the Francois lineage and branch, which also you have to focus on the different eras. We're going to focus more or less on the 12 parishes. That's a big difference right there because in Louisiana, we have parish. And the reason why, because of French and the Spanish laws. In other places around the country, it's county. So that's a little different right there because most people get a little bit confused when we mention parishes. Well, the 12 foundational Francois parishes are, we're going to start with Orleans Parish, the West Bank, St. James, St. John's, St. Charles, Lafourche, Terrebonne, Iberville, depends on in terms of how you pronounce it. Plaquemine Parish, we have also Louisiana diaspora, and that is dealing with how the younger generation branched off to develop their own lineage and their own descendant. Well, let's look at it. From the Louisiana diaspora, the states where most of your Francois branched off from was Texas, Louisiana, Illinois, New York, Florida, Virginia, California, and Mississippi. I think it may also be in Maryland too. So with that in mind, when you talk about your branch, you're actually speaking about, a separate group of family members that come from the same lineage or ancestors. For example, take me as a father. If my son, or when he gets married, my two sons, when they get married, even my daughter, when they get married, they're going to branch off and start their own branch. And they can do that through moving through marriage and just moving through different parts of the country, of the state. And that's what happened a lot back then in terms of you have so many, I see doing my basic research, at least 13 to 15 different groups of Francois. Basically, you have your French, your Spanish, African, Caribbean, free people of color, Creole, Francois. We all had pretty much the same surnames that been around at least, as I mentioned, overall, at least 1,500 years. But that name has been adopted through over time, different eras. You can start, of course, from the 16th century all the way up until now. And the Francois surname, it travels through time. Therefore, through these different foundational parishes I just mentioned, this is how that's one reason why Louisiana is the core of the Francois, and also just learning recently the Francis. We are basically have the same lineage or the same branches. English version of Francois is Francis. And of course, the European of French is Francois. And with that in mind, it has a lot of different moving parts, so to speak. But the Francois is a very, how can I say it? It's very unique of its own kind. It's very complicated, but yet it holds a lot of weight, particularly early part of that name when it first came over here to Louisiana, because the area that it traveled from, of course, France, Africa, the Caribbean nation, and then it touched down in Louisiana. And on top of that, a lot of the Francois was established. You have some of your older settlement area, like the West Bank, of course, New Orleans, some of your established older community, the West Bank. And that name, it is a significant name, particularly because the Roman Catholic Church, they had a lot of influence. They also used that Francois name for identity, coming through uh, before, during, and after the slavery era. That name was picked up, of course, by the Roman Catholic Church for identity purpose. You can use it for marriage. You can use it for land purpose, purchase land, baptismal things of that nature. Even with that name, the Francois or Francis, for schooling. And traditionally, the Francois Foundation is built around those 12 core parishes. And, if you think about it, the name itself has been around that period of time, but yet it's been dormant. And the reason why, because part of it after the Louisiana Purchase back in 1812, when Louisiana actually became Americanized, so to speak, Americanized, it also dropped a lot of your Creole and free Black Francois culture. A lot of that was dropped. The Spanish and the French, you had more free flowing Francois. But once it became Americanized and institutionalized, it became very structural and racial, and it came into more or less a Black or white society. And that's pretty much similar to, the overall picture of today, not excluding any other race, nothing like that. But I'm just speaking about the Francois name and how it was passed down, the lineage and the branches. So, overall speaking, right now in the United States, I'll give you a couple of more, tidbits. In the United States, we have approximately between 100 to 200,000 surname Francois. Excuse me, Francis. In the United States, for the Francois, we have at least about 14,500. So that's a number that has been, growing over the years, and that's based upon the 2010 U.S. Census, this research and data. But, just looking at it, that it been around for a long time, and you'd be surprised, just like I am, digging and doing a deep dive into my family lineage and the different branches that it broke off into. And we talk about, globally, internationally. We talk about throughout the United States. We talk about also the core of the Francois is Louisiana, the Creole Black Francois. And that's, what we're focusing on today. So there you have it. We just summed up, the 12 foundational parishes. That's what we have in Louisiana due to French and Spanish law. And also, we looked at the different branches. Like once you actually become part of that lineage or whatever family lineage you're in, you branch off into different branches. You still be part of the same ancestors, but a different group. And the lineage itself, kind of just recapping, that's just your direct ancestors and descendants as a lineage. So there you have it. I just wanted to kind of drop that in, and also pretty soon we'll be having our uh, genealogist coming on and going to go a little bit deeper into what we're doing right here. But definitely would like to hear from you, and just if you have comments, questions, or anything, let me know, and I'll gladly answer it. But in the meantime, I'll have the next episode next week, and we can get a chance to see each other and catch up then. Once again, my name is Wade Francois Edwards. It's been a plum pleasing pleasure to speak with you today. God bless everyone. Have a great day, and see you next week. Thank you.